Beep beep. How we doing, folks? Hey, it's me. I'm back. The EDI Jester. Welcome to the channel. Great to talk to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the globe. Right? Okay. So, the civil service. Let's talk about the civil service, or as I like to call it, the uncivil service. Now, there's some great people work at the civil service. I worked there for many years. I would go in and visit and do training and things with them, and some fantastic people. Really committed to their job and really committed to public service. Things have obviously changed a lot in the last 11 years. That's all I can say. So, I've spoken to a few people that I still know, and they said they're woke beyond belief. There's people wandering around like the Stasi, reporting people left, right, and centre. So what we've got now is a socialist state within a state. Right, so they're moving gradually towards their authoritarian totalitarianism. They always had that tendency anyway, but now it's going full flow. It's full flow, you know, this smothering of people. So we've got a story from the Telegraph, or the Torygraph as some like to call it, which is about a civil servant given warning after inappropriately saying there are two sides to the trans debate. There are no two sides. Isn't that funny to them? Why would they think there were two sides? There aren't two sides. There's only one side. Enlightenment, science. That which has given us so much. The other side, no, there is no other side. Because it's just not a thing. It just needs to be dismissed as nothing. Right? There's only one side. You're either on the side of freedom or you're on the side of oppression. Because anybody that's following critical social justice, and that includes transgender, genderism, gender ideology, queer theory, all the usual stuff, critical race theory, is not a friend of freedom. Steve Edgington, who's an interesting chap, says the work and pensions officials investigated and found guilty of breaching department's behaviour policy and rules on harassment. This is quite extraordinary. A civil servant was told by Whitehall investigators that it was inappropriate to say there are two sides to the trans debate. An official in the Department for Work and Pensions was reprimanded over a series of comments made during a discussion around transgender issues, including for saying, "I think it's useful to hear both sides of a subject." Authoritarianism, can you see it? Can you see it? On March the 11th, 2021, civil servants in the DWP met online for an International Women's Day event entitled "What Trans Is and Some of the Issues Faced." I've got a number of questions about that. First of all, why are the DWP giving people on the public dime time to go to International Women's Day? Nonsense. Right? That's for the private life. That's not for the public life. The call in which officials were... And what the hell's trans got to do with International Women's Day? The call in which officials were encouraged to submit written questions in an online chat featured a transgender woman civil servant, a bloke then, discussing issues faced by trans people in the community. What issues? There are no issues, right? You're who you are. You can dress how you like. I don't care, right? But if you are a believer in gender identity ideology, right, and that people should play along with your fantasy games, be that through fetishism or mental illness, I have a problem with you, as do many other people. Among the remarks made by the civil servant and branded as inappropriate comments relating to trans women by a DWP investigator were the comments, "One of the things I struggle to understand as a lesbian myself is, how can trans women be lesbian, as lesbian is same-sex attracted, not gender?" Another one that was in there was, "I find the term cis very offensive. Sport is segregated because there is a difference, and what if you don't believe in gender? I don't." Discussing the comment, "It's useful to hear both sides of a subject," a DWP investigator claimed that the event did not appear to be a forum designed to generate debate on both sides of the subject, and therefore it was inappropriate and made in the wrong context. They hate it when you won't shut up. Whoever the head of the civil service is, particularly DWP, needs to find who these investigators are, who instigated the investigation, and fire every single last one of them. But they won't do that because they fanny about. I've been involved in that stuff at the DWP. They fanny about. And then they go off sick for 6 months, and they come back and they have the same problem again, and we keep paying them because the public sector is a bloated mess in some ways. Or it was 11 years ago. I don't think it is now. The department's investigation led to an official warning against the civil servant. For what? The employee was disciplined essentially for a thought crime. Responding to the investigation, Kate Harris, go Kate, co-founder of LGB Alliance, a gay rights charity, told the Telegraph The civil service was once renowned around the world for impartiality and integrity. It certainly was. Now the DWP believes it is sensible to discipline an employee for a thought crime. First, she dared to say that a man cannot be a lesbian, which he can't. Why is that complicated? Then she said that there is more than one view on sex and gender, and heaven forbid both sides should be heard. Both of these are heresy in today's civil service. Now, we know that there is an organisation called SEEN, which is part of the civil service, that was set up to fight this stuff by very brave people, one of whom I'm very proud to have met. Right? So there is a fight back going on, but it just doesn't seem to have penetrated the upper echelons, does it? It's way past time for Cabinet Secretary Simon Case to take this seriously. Case, we need you on the case. Where are you? Does he really want his department to let anti-democratic, anti-scientific bullies run riot through Whitehall? Yes, they do. Because they're mostly lefty loonies or liberal loonies. They do. And the Be Kind crowd. Following a discussion of whether men who identify as trans women should be able to participate in women's sports, some civil servants argued for separated sports from men and women. Well, that's exactly how it should be. Why is this a thing? While others claimed it was false that men and women have different bone density and muscle mass. The DWP's got idiots in it, right? This should be like a filtration system, right? Have you been through the transcript of the meeting? Yeah. Who said that it's that men and women don't have different bone density and muscle mass and denied the science? Well, we've got Margaret Floppy Chops here, right? She's done it, right? Tick. Yeah. Well, we've got Brian Bum Squirter. He's done it. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh, and then we've got a non-binary, yeah, called Xeno Flappy Flop, right? Okay, right. So that's the three that said it, is it? Yeah. Fire them for gross misconduct, for lying. Just do it. Stop fanning about. Take the hit. The civil servant who was investigated by the DWP replied with, "Drink the Kool-Aid." That's so good. In response to those arguing for trans women to participate in women's sports. The investigation found that the phrase was not appropriate and likely to cause offence, as the origin of the phrase is linked to a mass suicide. It's used every day by thousands of people. You wibbling insignificant knob gobblers. While the phrase originated from a mass murder-suicide of over 900 people in Jonestown, Guyana in 1978, it is commonly used to refer to those who display obedience to a cause or cult-like behaviour, which is exactly what the DWP are allowing to happen. The DWP found that by using the phrase, the civil servant was harassing colleagues on the call. Surreal. The civil servant's comment that I think IWD should centre on women, really. International Women's Day should be about women. Oh, quel dommage. Of course it should be about women. What the hell is this about? This is about women. Ah! The civil servant's comment that I think International Women's Day should centre on women, really, was found to exclude trans women from the relevance of International Women's Day and was therefore inappropriate. No, it excludes men. Right, Simon Case, is that his name? Simon Case. Wibbling about with your, Simon Case, wibbling about with your job. Sort these nutters out and start sacking a few people. Once we string a few of them up, metaphorically, and slap their bottoms in public and send them on their way, get it reported in the press, the rest will fall in line. Because they're all cowards in the end, right? But somebody's got to say something, and you've got to stop enforcing regulations that expect people to believe that reality is not reality. And they need to make sure that the fetishistic paraphilic men or those who are mentally ill are allowed to rule the roost and tell them how to think. It's a disgrace on a grand scale. Department for Work and Pensions, bunch of gender identity, queer theory knob gobblers. And that is all I have to say on the matter. Get sharing this. Ta-da!